on this computer. What's up, everybody? How are you doing?
What's going on?
Good. Good afternoon, and welcome to the first installment of Daddy Discussions with the 3Js. All the 3Js give a little wave.
Hi.
Hey.
What's up, guys? From this day forward, you'll hear us say episode 0101 or season 1, episode 1, which means we're hoping to have a ton of episodes here. And we're just going to chat. We're just talking about how kids are affecting our lives and how we are trying to be dads in this growing, crazy environment we're in. Today, we begin to hope, at the very least, a monthly podcast for the 3Js, also known as Josh Arts. Wave, Josh. Jeff Mullins. What's up, Jeff?
Hey.
And me, yours truly, JR. Talk all things dads and families. Our purpose is simple. We just want to showcase how we sometimes succeed and mostly fail at being dads. We say it was laughter, but really we want to talk about how God has blessed us and being dads and how we love our kids. My name is JR, and I'm joined by my two dear friends here, Josh and Jeff. And you want to give a quick welcome who you guys are?
Yeah, Josh, you go first.
Hey, glad y'all are here with us. Hope that we can bring some laughter, maybe some tears, and just spread, just share some of the things that we all enjoy talking about with each other. So thanks for having us.
I'm Jeff. Kind of the same thing as these two other guys. We just want to be able to put some information out there for dads that may be new dads or dads that may be trying some new things that have, been dads for a while. And, hopefully we can just bless y'all like the Lord's blessed us. So
Amen to
look
that.
forward to it.
Amen to that. So we really, this is just a podcast we kind of made up one day at a small group session. We were sitting underneath a tent. It was really hot outside, and we just started talking. Jeff, what do you think? How did this come about?
So yeah, we were, like you said, we were our small group was having a pool party and for Labor Day, and us three, we were just sitting there chit-chatting after some of the other couples had left. And I believe it was your wife that walked by, JR, and she was like, "What are y'all doing?" And you were like,
Probably.
"Oh, we're just having dad discussions." And I was like, "That would be a great name for a podcast." And then a week later, we had it all planned out, and we just kind of rolled with it, and here we are.
Josh, what do you think we hope to get out of this thing?
I mean, for me, it's just more time to spend with you guys talking about day in and day out, raising kids and what's going on. We don't get a whole lot of time to do that. So yeah, why not share what's going on in our lives and the things we're learning as dads with everybody else.
I think it's funny you said we don't get a lot of time. Actually, for everybody listening to this, we've been trying to do this since September. And we're just now, this is first week of November, and we're just now able to put everybody together in the crazy schedules. I personally am going through a pretty major career change. Jeff, you went through one not too long ago, and Josh, you went through one probably a year ago or so. How long has your new company been going on? A year ago? So yeah, I mean, we've all got, not even counting the fact that our schedules with our kids are crazy, just counting all of our jobs changes we've all three done. It's just, but I gotta tell you, these two guys here sitting with us, they're amazing men, they're amazing fathers, and I'm just blessed to be here. So in today's episode, this topic we're talking about today, we're going to start off with ones that I think it's a topic that is very cliche in a way, but we're going to kind of dive into it and see how much it truly is. And what that means, or what I'm trying to say is, our topic today is called Kids Change Everything. I don't know if you can express that on a 1 hour podcast, whatever that is, but we're going to sure try. You always hear about this when you become a dad. People are like, "Oh yeah, you're awesome. We're so happy you're going to be a dad. Congratulations." Kids change everything. It's funny how people say that, but I think in today's world, it truly does. And Jeff, you want to start off? Just what's the first thing when somebody comes up to you and says, "Kids change everything"? What was the very first thing that hit you in that question or that comment?
Um, probably personally for me, I think it was my decision making as far as what I wanted to happen in my life or my family's life. At the time when we first found out, so just me and my wife. Um, and then that baby comes along, and you find yourself not going out as much and not buying the things you want because you need food or diapers or formula or something for the baby, or you just and then as the time goes on, kids want to play sports, so you find yourself doing less of your favorite hobbies and finding joy in helping them grow in their hobbies.
Yeah.
um
Josh,
yeah.
what's the first statement that pops in your head when people say kids change everything?
I think when I first found out, I was like, oh man, it's you're not always stuck in the same job forever, or friends kind of come and go. You might change churches, but for me, I remember thinking I'm going to be a dad for the rest of my life, and it was kind of an eye opener that I've got something that's going to depend on me for a really long time. So it's yeah, kind of the same thing. Jeff's. I mean, it was an immediate, hey, we got to start stashing money away for not even just household items, but school and you know everything that comes with having a kid. So yeah, it's a game changer from day one.
I gotta tell you, like both of you said, it changes how you think. It changes how you go to the grocery store. It changes how you go to bed. It changes how you buy clothes. It changes how you buy your house. It changes how I mean, there's not a more in-depth way of saying kids change everything. And guys, start off with Josh's time. Kind of give a quick background of, like how many kids you got. Tell a quick story about that. And
Yeah.
Jeff will go to you next.
So Tabitha, my wife, very very patient woman, and I've been married a little over 7 years. We've got 3 kids. Adeline's 6, first kid in grade school this year, so we're doing the whole kindergarten thing. And then I've got
Nice.
2 boys, Eli and Colton. They're 4 and 2, so they're both in daycare. And yeah, man, I mean they all keep us on our toes between gymnastics, soccer, karate. I feel like we're just going different directions all day long, but that's kind of the little family background. But I wanted to say real quick too, I think something important when I first found out I was a dad, I think that's a moment I'll never forget. Like when I found that pregnancy test on the bathroom. Like I can vividly remember walking in the bathroom and seeing that. So yeah, it's from that day until now, it's like, wow, how much has happened, but it's been a blessing every step of the way.
So Jeff, what about you, buddy? What about a little bit about you?
So my wife's name is Sarah. We've been together for 9 years now. My oldest, I've got 3 daughters, all girls.
Girl dad. Girl dad, yeah.
And I really think we always talk about, like, I wanted a son so bad that God was like, nah, here's some daughters. Here's some let me throw some curveball at you, and I'll have you have 3 daughters instead of 1 son. But
Awesome.
I wouldn't change being a girl dad for nothing. I love being a dad to girls. And my oldest, she's 8, almost 9. My middle child just turned 7.
Awesome.
Well, like 3 or 4 days ago, actually.
Yeah, happy belated birthday to her too.
Yeah. And then my youngest is 4. All different personalities, all different. And when I say personalities, man, they've got some strong personalities too. But no, man, I love it. I love being a dad, and it's pretty nerve wracking at first, like Josh was saying, when you first see that very first pregnancy test. But I wouldn't change it for nothing.
I know for me, I similar to you guys, I've been married now for a little over 8 years. I got two girls as well, so I'm also girl dad. Yay, girl dad. You said something about Josh that time whenever you see that first pregnancy test, and I was like, oh, this is real. I remember my wife's sitting next to me, but she'll tell you whenever we went to go do the heartbeat on my oldest Annalie, she's 4, about turned 5, and my youngest is Rayma. And we go to the doctor to do the heartbeat check, whenever they first do that. And my wife last, her name's Ashley. Whenever I saw and heard the heartbeat for the first time, I was like, oh, it's like, oh, this is real. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Like I thought all that was just play. Like, no, we're really going to do this. Like, oh, okay. Let's figure this out. Okay. It was definitely an eye opener. So I gotta ask you guys, when that first kid kid came home, like for me, Annalie, you two guys for your oldest, what was that first big change that you noticed? What was that first thing you're like, oh wow, this is really gonna be different? Jeff, let's start with you this time.
The sleep was the biggest thing for me. I say that very, very jokingly, but also kind of serious. You get so used to your whole life before kids sleeping through the night, and then you wake up and you have your first kid, and you're suddenly waking up multiple times a night, helping the wife feed the baby or change diapers or get the baby back to sleep, and you learn very quickly how to function off not a lot of sleep. And if you do get sleep, it's not very good sleep. Especially with that first baby, you're always like, I'll never forget the first time she slept through the night, the whole night. I woke up in a panic. The sun was up and I woke up and was like, well, where's the baby? We didn't wake up. Is she okay? Is she breathing? Like,
Yeah.
I ran into the nursery, and I like looked at her, and she's just laying there with her eyes open, just content as can be. And I was full panic mode. I was like, oh my gosh.
Josh, what about you?
Sleep for sure.
What was that first big thing that you're like, oh man, that's gonna be something different?
Yeah, definitely the sleep thing. I feel like I've always got projects going on around the house, so that was a big one for me. Just, hey, we're gonna have to pump the brakes on, getting A, B, and C done. We're kind of in parent mode, and I mean, especially those first 6 weeks, it's you're tag teaming sleep and feedings and everything. So I mean, it's a complete schedule shock. I don't know that there's anything that could compare to having a newborn at home for the first time as a new parent.
I take it from me, it was like we got home with Annalie and the next we got to the first night, right? First night's a big one, right? Next day, parents come over, everybody's like, oh, and my wife's mother and father was staying with us, and they're like, so how was the first night? And I was like, look, it's still alive. It's still alive. We did something right. All right, let's go. That was the big thing for me. I was like, oh wow, this is okay. We got one night. All right, how many more nights of this we got to do? Oh, 18 years. Okay, good. Okay, great. All right, good. So that was a big one for me. So Josh, this next question I asked you was children. I mean, more than one, always a plan for you and your wife, or did you like, okay, we're gonna have one, and whatever happens, however many God shows up, that's what it is. Was always a plan to have more than one?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say we just kind of wrote the book on our family plan, but we got married, and Tabitha told me I want 3 kids. We had the first one and got through like the 6 months, first year, and I was like, all right, if we're gonna have 3, we're gonna get this over with, because I'm not going back to the place of no sleep. And once we get out of diaper phase, I don't, I know some people that have a 10-year-old and a 2-year-old, and it's like, man, I don't know how you stretch that phase of parenting out over so many years. So yeah, we wanted 3, and God blessed us with 3, mostly perfect kids. So very grateful.
That's great. Jeff, what about you? Did you always have a plan for more than one?
I think it was kind of split. I was more like 1, maybe 2, and Sarah, she grew up around a lot of large families. that were close to her family. So she was like, I just want kids. Like, there's no set number. And I was like, well, let's see how we deal with one first, and then we'll kind of go from there. I think her number was like 4 or 5. She always like, I want an even number so that way no one has to ride a roller coaster by themselves.
I can see your wife saying that. That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So we had 3, and I was like, that is enough. It's good.
Awesome. So then you kind of had a plan with it too. Then okay, I can tell you for me personally, and you guys know the story, but some of the listeners don't know the story. I had some pretty bad health issues when I was younger, and I had pretty much an impression that it's about 90% sure I wasn't going to have children, just by my own kind of mental capacity. And then when I met my wife, who comes from a large family, she wanted a lot of kids, right? And I was like, okay, well, we're going to do this, I need to probably go. And I know my story, my background story. My wife knew my background story, so we decided, okay, I need to probably go get tested to see if I can actually have children, right? Which, let me just say, it was the weirdest thing ever. I walk into a room and they give you a couple of magazines and say, well, maybe we can test this. We got to have a sample. And I'm like, this is weird. So, a couple minutes later, you walk back out with a cup and hand it to them. And a couple of days later, you get a test. And I got the results. Because it's a family show, we'll just call them swimmers. There's a count that every man is supposed to have on an average for children to be, I guess, made. And that average is supposed to be somewhere in the 10 to 15 million range. I was less than 300,000 in my count for my swimmers. So it's literally like a 1 in a million scenario. Like, I had 3 different doctors show me this, that you're not going to have children. It's just, they probably need to look at adoption or whatever. And again, my wife came from a large family, and I was pretty stressed out. Like, I don't want to tell my wife this. I kind of had always known it, and she knew my story, so she wasn't like it was, not a story she didn't already know. But still, it was like, how do I tell my wife, who is amazing, who wants a bunch of kids, that I really now is proof I can't have children? And I stressed about that results. And at the time, I was in the pastoral at our church. We, all 3 of us and our families, go to. I'm in the pastoral group, and to get in front of the pastoral team, they actually prayed over me. I was like, oh, well, that's awesome. They prayed over this, even though I know that it's not going to happen. They still awesome enough to pray over it. So I took home, and my wife was like, well, we'll just give it to God. We'll just, we're supposed to adopt, whatever. And a couple months later, after doing some testosterone tests and things like this, my wife got pregnant, which is amazing. That's why it was such a shock when I heard that heartbeat for the first time. I was like, this is not supposed to happen, and this is going to happen. Like, oh my goodness. And then we were lucky enough to have 2. Actually, we had a third in between there. Most people don't know the story, but we lost it and early on and in the birthing process. So we have actually had 3. Again, all 3 very much miracle babies. And so unlike you guys, I didn't have a plan, because I didn't think there was going to be a plan other than adoption. So to be here where I am now with 2 little girls that are, just amazing little miracle babies, it's amazing. So it's amazing also to see how all 3 of our families, you 2 guys as families too, how we're all just so tight, and how we all came from different places. Jeff, he came from California. Josh, he came from Arkansas, and me here, and my wife from Iowa, and all everything in between, right? It's all the whole entire country, but we're just so close-knit families, and it's just, you guys are such a blessing. Which then leads us into the next question. This might be an easy question, but what was the first big change, or let's revise the question, because it's popping up in my head now. How do you see your wife's changing now that the kids are in the equation? I mean, obviously it's an easy question. Oh yeah, they changed them. It's easy, but really talk about, and whoever wants to go first can, how much your wife has changed now that the kids are in the equation. Whoever wants to jump in.
I'll go first. I think the first thing that comes to mind without having too much silence thinking about my answer is my her motherly instincts, like when Sarah and I first met, we were not in a very good place faithfully. We were drinking. We actually met at a bar, line dancing, and we were drinking heavily every weekend and all about
Scooting boogie.
Yeah. Drinking every weekend and just no cares and just wanted to have a good time. And like I talked about earlier, the whole like decision making process when you have kids, just seeing her develop into that, like I said, that mother, less concerned about her welfare and more concerned about, are the kids okay? Are we raising them right? Making sure that they're learning what they need to be learning in school and kind of protecting their minds and their hearts and stuff like that. A lot of it, biggest stuff for her, I think, was her growth on the inside.
It's awesome.
And not, it's cool to kind of get to walk alongside her in that and kind of, have that marriage and just, help her grow when she needs it. And she helps me grow when I need it, and tag team the kids when they're having a rough day and not listening and stuff like that, But
Hang
yeah,
on. Your kids don't listen? I thought it was just mine.
yeah, we actually dealt with quite a bit of meltdowns today
Yeah.
about everything. So it was a fun afternoon when I got home from work. That's for sure.
Josh, what about you, buddy?
I'll share a funny one. Before we had kids, Tabitha was just notoriously late for everything. I mean, not 5 or 10, to the point where I would tell her an event started an hour earlier than it actually did. And no joke, from the day we had Adeline, I mean, we get to church on time now. She's dropping kids off early. So I don't know how that happened, but yeah. But the same thing Jeff said. I mean, Tabitha we used to have a lot of fun. If we weren't going to a concert or, out for drinks and dinner on a Friday night, and we really turned a page once we had that first kid. I mean, it was, we really want to get connected with the church and tithing. I think that was something that Tabitha said, hey, from day one, I feel like God's going to bless us if we start tithing. So we started doing that after Adam was born, and she was right. I mean, God's really showed up financially for us since we've started having kids. So
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I would say, likewise. I mean, it's amazing how that motherly instinct just kind of jumps in, like it just shows up. Like it's almost, I mean, obviously it's, it's the gifts that God has put inside of them that we don't have as men, but it's just amazing to see. The old saying that we make the house and they make the home is no more true than that, for sure. I mean, it's really truly amazing, and get to a point now. It's like, well, our schedule that we run on a normal day, like I can't comprehend our lives before not having that schedule in it, because this is the way we did our things. Like this is the way, this is what works now. Like, right. So it's amazing. Which I think, that leads into next question I want to ask you guys is, obviously it's a family show, so I'm gonna try to be delicate again, but how has you and your wife changed your intimacy plans? And how does intimacy play into your marriage as a whole? I mean, we don't have to get details here. I don't want details. I'm just saying, like, like how do you? I mean, again, kids change everything, right? That's the name of the podcast here for the session. But it's also, it's something you got to be able to date your wife, right? No matter what, because our marriage is going to be, it's going to start before the kids and it's supposed to go past the kids, right? Because it's supposed to go on forever. So how do you make intimacy work in your marriage? Josh, start with you this time.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, obviously it's almost 9:00, so it's probably not happening tonight, but
Totally.
I think the times that we are, even able to go out and have a date night and then, come home and enjoy some time together, it almost is more special because it's, you have to be, diligent about making that time for each other. And yeah, I mean, definitely with kids around, it's not a free for all, on a Saturday afternoon, but
Yeah, right.
you do find time to date your wife. And if anything, I think I'm more attracted to my wife now, that seeing her in that role as a mom and some of the, you know, volunteer roles she's taken at church. I mean, just seeing how involved she is in the kids' lives, just it's really attractive to me. So
Awesome. Jeff, what about you, buddy?
I think I'm on the same page as Josh. You got to be intentional about it. For a while there, when we had our first two, Raylan and Jordan, we had them kind of close. They're little under 2 years apart, and actually between them, we actually had another pregnancy in between them that we lost very early on. But we were so overcome with having two little babies in the house at the same time. When Jordan showed up, Raylan wasn't even 2 yet. So we just got so enthralled in being mom and dad that we forgot to be husband and wife there for a little bit. And we became really intentional about it when we started coming to church, and Pastor Barry was like, look, y'all, your wife's more important than your kids. You love your kids, but you got to love your wife more, because you got to set that example. I want to be that example for my daughters, to where they know what a good husband is. I don't want them to have bad experiences, and grow up to marry bad guys, so to speak. But I think it's safe to say, as far as like intimacy goes, it's definitely an after bedtime thing when the kids are asleep and the house is set at a nice 68.5 degrees and the lights are just right, and
the dishes are done.
dishes are done,
Trash is taken out. Yeah.
yeah. There's certain checks that need to get done before it can happen.
Well, yeah, I think, likewise for me, I think when you first get married, and this is going to be a question for everybody listening. It's going to be a topic for future episodes. Spoiler alert. But anyway, so I think, when you first get married, it's kind of the rabbit effect, right? So it's kind of anywhere, anytime kind of thing. And then it just happens, right? So I think when kids come along, and especially multiple children, for me anyway, it's like, it's obviously not going to happen as much because you just don't have time or the energy, or again, you got to take trash out, all the things, right? So when it does happen, it just means so much more, because it's like to you, like what you said, Josh, it's, they're so much more attractive now, that how they are mothers to their children, that, and how they take care of our kids. It's just so much more. Oh, wow, that's amazing to watch. It's a whole new level of attractiveness, and I think that when it does happen, it's, for me anyway, it's so much, means so much more, because obviously it doesn't happen as much. So it's like really jump into it all in, right? So, with all the change that kids bring, somebody jump in and tell me how God has really shown up in every stage of the family growth, especially from time you found out you're first pregnant to the first child to where you are now. Does somebody jump in and just talk about how God has really just shown up and throughout the entire process, and how it shows up now?
I think for my family, he's just constantly showing us ways to be closer as a family, but also closer in our faith and closer in our walk with God. Like I said, when I first met, I've been in church ever since I was in like middle school, in the youth group and playing worship in the youth group, and all the way until my, adult life. And then I joined the military and kind of fell away from my walk with God. And I've been trying to get, I have been striving to be that spiritual leader of the house that, God calls me to be. And it's just amazing that when I've made that decision and I had a conversation with God, I was like, look, like I want to be that. Like I feel the urge and the need in my family to be that spiritual leader. And he's just, blessed us tremendously with showing us ways, whether that be through other couples or, podcasts like this, where, it's just couples talking about what they do and just trying things out and really working on getting our faith stronger, getting our marriage stronger. And, it's awesome that he never really leaves us behind and always kind of brings us along in each step that he has planned for us.
What did Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's days that Tabitha and I are like, what are we doing? How are we going to make it through this week? I mean, we've got, schedules that are just jammed packed, but I think we both just have a real peace about where we're at, career wise, and, the church family that we've developed. I mean, when Tabitha and I first got married, she was traveling, 4 or 5 days a week, and she had some job opportunities that she probably could have made more money at, but we prayed about and just felt like she was where she needed to be. And now she's mostly able to stay at home and, help with kids. And, I mean, again, the financial thing just felt like her just really pushing our family to tithe and put, that 10% that belongs to God first. That's made a huge difference, just in what we're able to do financially around the house. And yeah, I mean, I think just that piece that we're where we need to be, we're doing what we need to be doing, and God's going to take care of the rest. I think that's kind of how he shows up every day for us.
Awesome. I know that likewise, God, he definitely, there's a saying I love. It's very prudent here, I think, is when the student is ready, the teacher will show up. The teacher is God. He's always there. We just don't always see him, right? And I think that there's definitely throughout my life as a husband and as a father, it's really taken me to be prepared and really, see God there. He was always there the whole time. I just didn't always have my eyes open to him. And I look back, and it's easy to say hindsight's 20/20 in certain situations, but when you look back and you go, man, God was there the whole way. I just didn't let him do his thing. Or I could have come in so much farther along, And sometimes I beat myself up and I'm like, man, dragging behind. I should be here. I should be here. I should be here with all things, especially with, how I raise my kids, because sometimes I get so frustrated with stupid stuff. And I'm like, man, God's there. Just give it to him, just let him lead, because I always want to try to take control. And whenever I do let him lead, especially in marriage and child raising, it's just amazing how he just opens the door to blessings I could never have thought of. And, it's just how it is. I mean, it's amazing. Any more comments on that question? I mean, that could be a topic of its own, right?
Yeah.
100 examples real quick. I got them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and
Yeah,
like we said, we're all, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, it's crazy how when you're faithful, God's faithful back.
Yeah.
We, Josh, you're talking about tithing. We struggled with finances for years, and finally we were like, we tried everything on our own, couldn't never make ends meet. Finally, we were like, no, we just need to tithe. Like, whether we have the money to tithe or not, like, we just need to tithe. And days money met ends where it used to not meet ends, and you're like, how in the world is gas lasting me twice as long when it's you know, it used to not, or how am I paying this bill even though I don't have the money for it? You know, like it's just things start happening that are inexplainable, you know, and when you're, you know, like I said, when you're faithful to God, he's faithful back, which is awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you know, like we started the episode out with, all three of us going through a career change in the last year or so. It's there's no more evidence of just giving it all to him than what we all three have done the last year, right?
Yeah.
And just look where we are now, right? I mean, it's no telling where we're going. It's amazing. God's good. Well, guys, we've been talking for 45 minutes now. How you think the first episode's gone so far?
I think it's pretty good. Pretty good.
So far, so good.
Pretty informative. I learned some stuff about you guys I didn't even know about, so that's always good. I mean, I think that's if we do anything else, we learn something out of here. It makes it worth it, right?
Yeah.
So let's close up this episode. It's not you guys are probably tired of hearing me talk because it's about that time for intimacy, right? No, I'm just kidding. So this concludes today's episode of Days and Sessions of 3Js, and our topic today was kids change everything. I think from hearing us, you can tell that when we say kids change everything, there's no truer statements. Guys, you got any last comments?
Look forward to the next one. This was
Oh,
fun.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Look
Heck yeah.
forward to it. And if you're raising kids or you got kids on the way, just do the best you can, because you don't know how to be a parent until you are a parent. So
Yeah, there's
I heard
no
that today, and I was like, man, that's such a true statement. You don't know how to be a parent until you are a parent.
there's no guidebook though, and they don't give you like a do this. Here's your handbook. Go for it. No, it's just kind of just like I said. Woke up the next day and like, oh look, they're still alive. Praise Jesus. So this is the end of our first episode. Thanks everybody for listening. We're going to have a whole lot more of these, and topics are going to get a little more in depth, and we're going to dive in, maybe even have some surprise guests in the future as well. But you're always going to see the 3Js here. So reach out. We're going to have a YouTube channel. We're going to have some social media pages and stuff like this. So give us a 5-star rating, and I want to leave you with this. Acts 2:39. It says, the promise is for you and your children, and for all who are far off, for all whom the Lord our God will call. So, give it to God. See where it takes you. Guys, thank you so much for being amazing like you guys always are. And, I think we'll end it right there. How about it?
Yep.
See you next time.